I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for the week of May 11th, 2016. We took last week off due to preparing for Free Comic Book Day, so we'll start with just a quick thank you to everyone that showed up for the event. Tons of people, lots of comics given away. We had a great first year with the Touch a Truck program, and we're definitely looking at continuing that next year. Thank you. Big shout out to Rudy from Pennsylvania. I know you watch these, Rudy, for making the trip and hanging out with us and sending us pizza the night before. So what an all-around great guy. It was great to meet you, and I hope you and your family had a great time. So it was great for us, but we definitely were worn out afterwards. So we're back. It's a new week. It is always a great week for new comics, but there weren't a lot of noteworthy things this week. We try and hit those to bring those to your attention, partly because we're winding down the DC universe prior to Rebirth, and it's a post-Free Comic Book Day week, which traditionally means publishers aren't shipping a whole lot. But don't let that deter you from hitting your local comic shop. The standout for me, actually there were two of them, and I think I'm going to go with Batman 52 as my pick of the week. This is written by James Tynion IV, artwork by Riley Rossmo, and this is the last issue, pre-Rebirth. Tynion has been doing a really good job writing Batman in a variety of places, including Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Batman Eternal, and this is kind of, it's one of those great standalone, feel-good Batman stories. Basically picks up at the beginning, the day shortly after Bruce's parents are murdered, and how he is dealing with that as a child, and then what he does afterwards. He basically is keeping a notebook that Leslie Tompkins has given him to write down ways to move on, and it's a very very emotional, very well written story, and Rossmo's artwork is very good too. He's the artist on Bedlam, if you're familiar with that, over at Image. So it's a done-in-one, standalone Batman story that I highly recommend.
And it features the Batman secret fart cover. I can't imagine what's going on. Alfred, I farted. That's the only possible reason for that little smile. Maybe he's got new underwear. I don't know. But it was good. My pick of the week this week is Satellite Falling #1 from IDW, written by Steve Horton with art by Stephen Thompson, or Stephen Thompson, depending on how we like that PH thing to go. And this is a cool new sci-fi book. Basically, a woman's breakup goes so badly that she has to give up the whole planet and all of humanity and goes to live on a satellite where she will never see anyone that reminds her of her ex because there are no humans but her. And she is sort of a bounty hunter, using holographs or holograms to kind of hunt down different people. And she works with the local constabulary and... Did I say that wrong? The cops. And it was really fun. It was a nice, very cool setting. A lot of different alien elements going on. But you see that no matter where you go in the galaxy, people and aliens are awful, horrible, scumbag, drug-dealing, child-enslaving monsters. It's nice to know some things are static across all cultures. And, it was just a lot of fun. I enjoy a good sci-fi romp, and it was.
All right, if you would have told me that I'd be picking two DC books in a week, this week, I would have said, no way. But Action Comics 52 is the final days of Superman Part 6. We have 2 more parts to go, 7 and 8. And this is the meeting that we've all been waiting for. It's the meeting between the New 52 Superman and the pre-New 52 Superman. Does that sound right?
Yes.
Yeah. Along with Solar Energy Superman.
Whoever that guy is.
Yeah, so you've got 3 Supermen in this book. Lots of bang for your buck. But really well done. Peter Tomasi is the writer. Dale Eaglesham is the penciler. And Tomasi writes a heck of a good Superman. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with Superman Rebirth. Great moments in here. Again, the New 52 Superman is on his way out. He's dying from a variety of things. And you get great moments between Wonder Woman and Superman, Batman and Superman, and then of course we get a very, I don't want to say quick look, but there's a quick introduction of, here's this other family that's been living in secrecy, and he's Superman too. So curious to see what happens again, since Rebirth looks like we're going to have the pre-New 52 Superman as the Superman. So if you've been following the story, you don't want to miss this part. If you haven't, you should seek out the previous parts because they've all been very, very good.
Yes, super awesome. Yes, when you want to write touching interpersonal moments, you call Peter Tomasi. Or at least DC does. My next up is actually from last week. Since we missed a video, I didn't get a chance to tell you about it. Shadows of the Vampire. This is a Dungeons & Dragons comic from IDW. This is part 1, and it's written by Jim Zub, who has an excellent history in this type of thing. He's written Pathfinder comics, he's written previous D&D comics, and of course his creator-owned book, Skull Kickers, is very D&D infused. And this is super great. It's not just great for D&D fans. If you like The Tick, you will probably like this book. These are characters that were originally appeared in Baldur's Gate, which was a genre-defining video game, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Great game from BioWare, makers now of things like Mass Effect and Dragon Age and Star Wars: The Old Republic. And but one of the main draw here, for me at least, was we get Minskin Boo, which is a giant barbarian ranger whose animal companion is a hamster. And they write, Zub writes Minsk like the Tick in here. He shouts ridiculous things like, "You'll feel the foot of justice," and so if you like kind of just a fun, adventure-y fantasy romp with a lot of strong humor elements, Shadows of the Vampire was great.
Cool. Well, since we didn't have a whole lot to talk about, and since we didn't shoot a video last week, we thought we'd give you our 2 cents on Captain America's Civil War, because I know that's what you've been waiting for. We did have a staff outing to see it the Thursday before it opened, or Thursday night that it opened, and I will just give you my 2 cents, and then Josh will give you his 2 cents. And I really enjoyed it. I plan on seeing it again because there is still one person in my family who hasn't seen it, and I will take them at some point. But it was pretty much everything I think that people wanted it to be. Lots of action, great character moments. All the characters were written splendidly, for lack of a better term. There really is nothing horribly negative to say. We don't like to talk about the negative, but there were a couple things that jumped out at me. First is that it seemed a little too long to me. A lot of the Marvel movies, time just flies by, and I can't believe that they're over by the time we get there. This one felt like it dragged a little bit. What else? The camera work, and I've seen several people mention this. The opening fight scene, which I believe is in Nigeria.
Laos.
No,
or
it's Laos.
Lagos.
Yeah, wherever that is.
There are big words on the screen.
Yes, felt like a Jason Bourne movie, and was not as smooth as the opening scene in The Winter Soldier or some of the other action scenes that we've seen in the Marvel movies. I actually felt a little ill watching that opening scene. Now, it could have just been me, it could have been what was in my stomach at the time, but it didn't seem as smooth. The overall movie didn't feel as tight as The Winter Soldier, and I think that's what... There were several people that saw it with us that said, "Oh, this is the greatest Marvel movie." Several entertainment outlets are saying that it's the best one so far. I disagree. I think Winter Soldier is the best Marvel movie. This one is somewhere in the middle of the pack for me, but there are definitely some amazing moments, and it's absolutely worth seeing. The fight scene at the airport alone is just all kinds of awesome. And if by some chance you haven't seen it yet, make sure you stay all the way through the credits, because there are 2 after credit scenes, one shortly after the credits start to roll, and one all the way at the end.
I was amazed. We went Thursday night, so you would assume the people going are the fans, and there were still people leaving before the first one, and then again before the second one.
Yeah, before the second. I don't understand.
It's like you've never seen a Marvel movie before. No, I also really, really enjoyed it. Yeah, I had the same problem with the shaky cam and the fast chasing stuff in that first fight being rather unpleasant. And that was actually my greatest praise of The Winter Soldier, is the fight scenes were amazingly well choreographed, and they were very tightly shot and edited. And most of the later ones in this were as well, but that first one is pretty rough. The sheer volume of characters, every character gets their moment, even though we've got, 14 main characters in this movie? Well, main is strong, but 14 important characters in this movie. The reveals were really well. They did a great job of setting up T'Challa as the Black Panther. And the moment I went with Mark on Thursday night, and then I took my mom for Mother's Day, because that's what she asked for. The moment he comes on screen, she's like, "Who's that guy?" Like, I don't know. She's like, like there's gonna be some succinct answer I could give her. Because if I said Black Panther, she still wasn't gonna know who it was.
Yeah, so who's that?
All right, I've written a dissertation for you, Mom. No. I think the changes from the Civil War comic are notable. The Civil War comic is a battle of philosophies. Captain America and Tony Stark literally believe what they're doing is right. This is much more personal. You know, it's influenced by what they believe is right, but it's also very much about their relationships with their parents or their relationships with Bucky, depending which one we're talking about. But yeah, it was super awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't have any real complaints.
I think it definitely bears. Bears? No, it's worthy of multiple viewings. Yeah. To be able to catch a lot of the nuances.
Spider-Man was good. We didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
No complaints about Spider-Man.
No, he was awesome.
Marissa Tomei is 1 year older than Robert Downey Jr., for those of you keeping track. So Aunt May is a year older than Tony Stark. But, you'll have that.
Yeah. Looking forward to seeing the standalone Spider-Man movie.
Mm-hmm. And that's next year?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, the new characters were great. Ant-Man was great. Everyone was great.
I mean, they got a chance to do a little bit of Scarlet Witch, Vision, relationship building stuff.
Yeah. Maybe we'll revisit it somewhere down the road and get into more specifics. I mean, I'm sure most of you have seen it by now, but there were some things I think that, I don't know, they were telegraphing plot points, further down the road, and they were trying to make them surprises, and they weren't really surprises. But
Zemo, the villain, was really good in that he was very different from all the other villains we've seen. With the exception of Loki, there aren't really any Marvel villains that are good. Like, they don't have a Magneto or a Darth Vader or anything.
Yeah. He's definitely manipulating things, but it's almost like the villain in this is the situation.
Right.
Because
that guy from the reality show, The Situation?
He is a villain. But because of what has happened in the previous films and the damage that's been caused, we've come to this point where this movie is able to happen and able to make sense with very little nudging from any outside forces. So,
did they ever actually even say Ross's name?
No, I think they did, but they didn't.
So they bring back William Hurt as General Thunderbolt Ross, make him Secretary of State, and then never really acknowledge his connection to the Hulk or anything. He's just there.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that Hulk movie. Yeah, and there's a scene at some point where Ross is on the raft, which is the superhero prison. Mm-hmm. Apparently, he spends a lot of time there, and I'm like, the Secretary of State of the United States, the one who's responsible for all of our foreign relations, is hanging out on the raft with all these superpowered criminals. I don't understand. So if you don't think about it too much, it's
yeah. Well, the same thing. Zemo's plot is ridiculously intricate. Like, it's almost like the Joker's plot in Dark Knight. If you really think about it, I'm not sure it would have worked. There's a lot of little things, but it was so much fun. You don't even notice.
Yeah, very entertaining. God, we're so fortunate to have all these movies coming out and so many more down the road. So
yeah, this year I've still got another Marvel movie. I got a Star Wars movie. It's going to be amazing. Got a new Ghostbusters.
We got X-Men. We got Star Trek.
I'm not 100% sure I'll go see that X-Men movie.
Yes, you will.
Yeah, I will.
You went to see Fantastic Four. You're going to go see
X-Men.
True. So that's it. What did you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below about Civil War. And if there are any books that you really were excited about this week. If you liked the episode, give us a thumbs up. Again, a little subdued this week, but if you liked it, let us know. And we'll be back next week with a whole heap and helping of new comics to talk about that are awesome. And we're 2 weeks from Rebirth, so stay tuned for that. See you next time.